I have a message for the heavy drinkers, those who often overdo it with booze, abuse alcohol, want to quit alcohol, or maybe already have quit alcohol if you're there. The message is that you're perfect. You're perfect. You always have been. You were perfect when you were born. You were perfect before you arrived here. And it's an important message that I want you to hear and understand. Yes, you will make mistakes. Yes, you have a lot to learn. We all do. That is life. That's what we're doing here. But that's the path, and the path is perfect. It just is. You are perfectly who you are. And at your root, at your core, in your heart, you are perfect. And you're beautiful. You're lovely, you're divine, you are created by God. You're perfect, okay? And this message needs to get out to you immediately. ASAP. Pronto. Okay? And like I said, this doesn't mean that you don't have areas of your life that you could make improvements, or areas of your life where you need to take accountability or step it up, or make adjustments. We are all constantly doing that, right? But who you are, your soul, your being, your essence, your heart is perfect. Where you're at is perfect. You are on the right path. Even who you are after life has done a number on you, you're still perfect. And if no one has ever told you this before, it's true. And I'm telling you, so you can hear it. You're perfect, you're beautiful. And I say this specifically to the drinkers, the heavy drinkers, those who abuse alcohol or want to quit alcohol. I say this because so many of us use alcohol to numb ourselves, to avoid life, to escape, to silence these big feelings we have, feelings of shame, feelings of embarrassment, feelings of inadequacy, whatever it may be. Even if we aren't consciously thinking this, when we go to have a drink, or 15 drinks maybe, even if we aren't consciously thinking this can often be the case. We're drinking to numb, we're drinking to escape. And I'm not saying this is everyone. If you enjoy your cocktails, your wine, whatever, have one for me, please. Go for it. But I know that many of us are actually running from something, hiding, numbing, avoiding, and doing so through booze. And so I wonder, where did we learn this? Where did we learn that we need to escape, run, feel shame, feel embarrassment, hide, that it's too much, that we can't possibly handle it, that we're not good enough, that we're not good at all? Where did we learn this? So I can't say for you, but some examples could be that it was learned in childhood from parents or grandparents or caregivers, or from school or from teachers or from coaches, church, mentors, whomever, from our pain, from our traumatic experiences. You may have received really hurtful messages from those you trusted, those who were caring for you, those you were told to trust, and maybe the messaging got to you and it messed with you, which is reasonable. Maybe it messed with your perception of yourself. And it's not okay that anyone hurt you, tried to tear you down, tried to shame you, tried to tell you you're wrong, you're bad, you're not good enough. That's not okay, but your response is understandable and it's okay. You are a human. You are coping with the world. You are navigating the world. And we do the best we can. And sometimes it all feels like too much and we escape through alcohol. But I want to tell you that you are deserving of good things. You are deserving of support and love on the deepest level possible. And you always have been. But maybe you heard these hurtful messages, or you had these painful experiences that translated into hurtful messages. And maybe you heard that you're undeserving of good things. You're undeserving of peace or love or safety or abundance. Maybe you heard that you're a disaster, you're too much, you're ridiculous, you're perverted, you're weird, you're a freak, you're too sensitive, you feel too much. Maybe you heard you need too much, you ask for too much, you cried too much. Maybe you were called names. Maybe you were called ugly, a failure, a loser. Maybe you were told that your dreams are ridiculous, you can't have them, they're a waste of time. Maybe you felt pain and you didn't know how to cope with it because no one told you how, showed you how, you never learned. Maybe no one listened to you. Maybe people blamed you for your pain, for your feelings. Maybe they told you you're not allowed to have feelings. And maybe someone took something from you, just hurt you, and it feels like too much. It's too much to bear, or you don't feel like yourself anymore. So the list can go on. I keep going on and on with all these things that maybe you were told, maybe you were shown, maybe you were exposed to that are just hurtful, harmful, misleading. Many of us have heard these really damaging messages early in life or later in life, and they can feel so ugly, so painful, and just like too much to handle. It can make us feel disgusting. It can make us feel so low. And sometimes we don't know how to get out of this low place, or we don't know that we're allowed to get out of this low place, or we don't even know that there's something beyond this low place, this place of feeling bad, gross, ugly. So we're navigating life with these harmful messages that we believe are truth, and we do the best we can. Or we navigate life with this pain that we think is going to keep going and going, or, like these painful memories. And so we do the best we can. And some of us escape through alcohol. We numb, hide, cope with alcohol, and with an abundance of alcohol. We try to sweep things under the rug. We try to forget, deal with through alcohol, and it's like it can't satisfy us. So we try and we keep drinking and drinking. And I want to address this because I've seen so much of this. I've lived it. I've experienced it. I've experienced the numbing myself, and I've witnessed it. I've lived in bars. I have spent years of my life saturated with booze, years of my precious life in spaces that are comprised of booze, that wouldn't even exist if alcohol wasn't present, which is such an interesting foundation to consider. So I've been in these environments, I've participated in these environments for so many years. So needless to say, I have been surrounded by drinkers. I've been surrounded by people who abuse alcohol. I have been one of them. Some say I still am one of them. And from their mouths directly, from my mouth too, I have heard the roughest language about the own individual, the people saying the words, harmful words about themselves, painful words about themselves, and I have done the same about myself. And so some of the things I've heard or said have been many things, some of which are, I'm a piece of shit, I'm ugly, I'm worthless, I don't deserve to live, I'm a failure, or my mom and dad don't love me and never did, and I don't love them, and no one loves me, or I have no one, or no one cares about me, or fuck the world, people are evil, no one is good, or I want to end my life. I've heard all of this. I've said some of this. And the list goes on. You get the picture. And there's also one that is so interesting to me, which is when someone says, I feel like shit when I drink. Meanwhile, they're still sitting there drinking, and they'll come back tomorrow and do the same. I've done this. I've heard this. I've witnessed it. Okay? And so much of this can come out after just like 1 or 2 drinks. You know, when you're sitting there waiting for drinks to arrive and everything seems fine. And then after the first, maybe the second round, all these words start just like rolling off the tongue, and they're harmful. And there's pain in those words, you know? And I can't say where it all stems from for anyone besides myself. But it does always feel like there's a rich history there. There's a reason for the pain and for these words, because these are really heavy messages to spread. They're rough words to say about yourself, about oneself. And I'm really not one to say that who you are when you're drunk is your truest self. I don't believe that. And I know we're not our thoughts. We have so many thoughts in a day. We are not our thoughts. So if a thought while drinking translates into a word that rolls off your tongue, is that who you really are? Not necessarily. Is that what you really believe? Not necessarily. But there is an undeniable parallel between and among heavy drinkers. Because I could be at a bar on this side of the world or the other side of the world, and I'll hear similar messages coming from the mouths of people who are heavy drinkers. It doesn't matter where I am in the world, the messages are often very similar. I've seen enough disastrous drunk encounters. I've heard enough hurtful, harmful words. I've felt pain from others and from myself to know there is some truth in these words, in this language, that people might believe some of what they're saying about themselves that is really painful and hurtful. Or that there's something being avoided, or there's something eating away at someone. Something isn't in alignment. And you're allowed to feel pain. You're allowed to feel hurt. You're allowed to be angry. As am I. I'm allowed to feel all these things about anything I've experienced, felt. I'm allowed to feel angry whenever I want. But some of us can get into a cycle of escaping through booze because of this pain. Nothing gets resolved. Nothing heals. We just keep going and escaping. Booze is legal. It's cheap. People understand that you can have a drink or 10 and no one really blames you for that. All of this to say that, believe it or not, regardless of any of this messaging you've received that tries to tear you down, that tried to tear you down, or label you something bad, it's regardless of all of that, you are perfect. You are divine. You're perfect. Even if you have done messed up things, even if you've hurt people, even if you've hurt yourself, even if you've lost everything, even if you've been harmed, even if you've been harmed hundreds of times, even if everyone has told you you're too much, you feel too much, you're wrong, you're bad, even if people tell you that, no, you're perfect. Even if the world feels really loud to you, even if you're scared, even if you feel like a failure, even if you have failed a lot, you are perfect. And once again, this doesn't mean there isn't room for improvement, there aren't lessons to learn, there aren't mistakes that will be made. It doesn't mean that. That's life. That's life for everyone. We're all learning. But who you are is perfect. What you feel is perfect. So all the messages you've heard that try to ridicule you, tear you down, rip you apart, all the experiences you've had that have tried to do that too, rip you apart, tear you down, shove you in the dirt. These are not who you are. That's not your guiding light. It's not. It's not truth. You are divine. You are perfect. If no one has told you this before, it's true, you're perfect. You're beautiful. You are worthy of being here. You are worthy of succeeding, of feeling well, of feeling cared for, of caring for yourself deeply. You are worthy of safety, of gentleness, of beauty, of rich experiences, of adventure, of fun. So please remember this. Please remember this. You are divine. You are perfect. You are beautiful. And if you think I'm not talking to you, I am definitely talking to you. And if you think this applies to everyone else besides you, no, this applies to you too. You are divine. Always remember this. You are divine and perfect. You were born perfect. And you still are perfect, okay?